good morning or good afternoon, depending on where in the world you're joining us from today. And thank you for joining us. I've just got a few admin points to tick off before we begin. So firstly, the session will be recorded and will be available afterwards on our website. And any questions that you have, please pop them in the chat and we'll have a Q&A session at the end where we can go through those. So firstly, it's lovely to see you with us today. And for those of you who I haven't met yet, I am Renee and I am a Customer Success Manager here at Bamboom Cloud. For anyone who is new here, our aim at Bamboom Cloud is to help organisations take the very best of the Microsoft Cloud to help them to transform and grow their businesses. Today's session and every other session in this webinar will be based around Dynamics 365 Business Central. Part of my role is to educate you and help you to understand what you already have access to within Business Central, along with how we can add extra components to it to benefit your organisation through the use of third-party apps. We often refer to these as ISV solutions, so if you see that term used anywhere, it's just the third-party apps that refers to. Today won't be a deep dive tech session, as like any other video that we've had in this webinar, and we aim to keep things in a language which enables you to understand what the products can do for you and how you can gain the benefits from the features. Today's session will showcase Popdock in Business Central, and I'm delighted to have Linda and Ethan here with me today to explain more on this.
Thank you, Renee. Some of you may be familiar with our Smart Connect product, which provides traditional integration that moves and synchronizes data between databases. Popdock, however, which we're going to talk about today, provides virtual integration and allows you to view live data from multiple databases. This benefits you in several ways. Unlike products like Power BI, which makes sense of large data sets, Popdock is built for task-driven reporting. It allows you to filter and group to get the exact data you need to perform your task at hand. A customer calls and asks for the last year of invoice information. You can easily run the list from Popdock. You just query the data, build a smart list from one or multiple databases. Or maybe you've just moved into Business Central and some of your historical data is in your old system or in a data warehouse or maybe in a data lake, while the newest data is in your Business Central. No problem. You can easily merge the data from multiple databases into a single report. Then you can sort, filter, or group the data before you export it to Excel or PDF, or you can embed it into another database. The move to the cloud requires a different integration strategy. There's no need to store years of historical data in your new cloud-based system. It costs money to move the data and Azure storage fees to store the data. So Popdock introduces the concept of virtual integration. Why store the same data into databases and synchronize them? Through the use of widgets, you can easily embed data in multiple systems, embed Business Central data in your CRM, embed shipping data in Business Central, embed help desk data in your CRM. Since we're viewing live data, it is always presented in real time. There's no data warehouse needed. You can pull data from legacy systems as an alternative to migration, but if you have data in a data warehouse or in a data lake, Popdock can access that for you too. And we currently have connectors for more than 60 applications. Here you can see just a few of them, but our REST Web Services connector allows you to make connections to commonly used products. We have native SQL connectors for connectivity for many on-premise databases, and this allows you to pull any data from any product and present it where you want it and when you need it. That gives you an idea of what Popdock has to offer, but now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Ethan Sorenson so he can show you the product in action.
Thank you, Linda. I'm going to start out with a scenario. So it's a common scenario that we see a lot of Business Central customers encountering, where they need to run task-based lists. So I'm going to start with some of the native Business Central functionality and then show how Popdock can enable those users to do more with their data. So here I'm looking at the standard customer list that you get native with Business Central. And in this, you get some of these pre-made lists. So maybe you want to see who are my blocked customers, and this will show just those customers that are blocked, or you can add your own filters. So I could say, show the filter pane, and maybe I only want to see customers with an outstanding balance. So I'm going to say where the balance due is greater than 0. filter it down, and it gives me just those records. So this is a good way to get access to that data. I can easily say export this to Excel, and then it will create that and allow me to visualize that data in Excel, send that to other users, and then they have that functionality. So this is nice in some ways. It gives you an overall overview of the data, but it has some limitations. So one of those limitations is you can create this as a view. So I could say save this as overdue balances. So I can get back to it with these predefined filters easily from the same pane. So I can quickly get to this list, but I can't see all of the data that I need. Maybe I want to see related detail. We have the fact boxes, but those don't show me a whole lot of information without doing drill downs into other pages. I can't add columns on the fly, so I can't say I want to quickly see who the salesperson is. I can't aggregate this data by dragging and dropping. And so there's some other functionality that I'm going to show you now in Popdock that allows me to do the same functionality and then take it even further. So I'm going to flip over to the Popdock interface, which is connected to that same Business Central environment. And if I had a standard list, this is just pulling customers, exactly the same customers that we were just looking at. So I have in here all of my columns. I can rearrange columns to however I want. If I didn't want a column, I could just say easily drop that particular column. Maybe I wanted to see other types of aggregation. So I could say show me the count of customers instead. Easily doing that by selecting the summary method and say just give me the count. And so I can see that it found 100 records. It's giving me the count of that. I can add in additional lines of detail, and all of that I can easily do through one interface. What I'm going to do is jump to what we call a favorite, which is kind of a saved version of the list. So here I have one, which is outstanding balances. This is the exact same list that we were just looking at in Business Central. So how can I empower the users to do more? So the first thing you could do is say, I want to see all of my customers from multiple companies. So if you're using multiple Business Central companies, Popdock can query both of those at the same time. So now I'm not just looking at those overdue customers in the US company, I can also see any overdue customers in the EU company. This was nice, but maybe I want to add a little piece of detail. So this list was useful, but I need to know which salespeople to send it to. So I'm going to add in the salesperson code. This has added that filter on here, and I can easily say, let's sort on the salesperson code, either ascending or descending. But if I drag this up, it will group them in this way for them. So let's say I want the sum of all of their balances. So if I put these in, we can see those subtotals that the outstanding balance for this PS salesperson is the biggest. Maybe I want to know who is that salesperson PS. So I'm going to add in one more column so I can get that extra information. So Peter's the one that I need to reach out to and tell him, hey, you have a bunch of customers with overdue balances. So let's filter this list now and say, I only want to see his particular ones. So if I say the salesperson code must be, we have a lot of operators here, greater than, equal to, one of list, things like that. And I'm going to say that it needs to just give me Peter's. So I can see all of his were in the Kronos EU company. And what I'm going to tell it to do is just export this to Excel. So this is the same functionality that I got with Business Central, only my list is slightly different here in that it comes in already pre-built as a data table. So it's going to understand your data types, allow you to do any other filtering that you need with it, or you can just ignore all of that, send it over to Peter and let him investigate these missing records. Now, if I was Peter myself, if I take on the role of that salesperson, I ran this query directly against Business Central without needing to log into Business Central. And maybe I wanted to know more information. So let's say I'm going to remove this filter. And I know I had a customer, and I think their name started with AAR, Aaron Fitz. So let's see if he has any open orders. So I'm going to bring up what we call a detail section. And this detail, when I click on the line, is going to check if he has any orders. He does not, but he should have a posted invoice, I would think. And those details would show up down here. But if I go to opportunities, I can see there is one opportunity in the CRM system. So we can actually step out beyond the scope of just this one environment. So yes, I could see any of his invoices and orders and things from Business Central. But if you're also using customer engagement or Salesforce.com or any other CRM or maybe support system out there, you can also bring that data into these reports. So I can quickly show that he has an upcoming opportunity, he has an outstanding balance, so I should follow up with him to collect this before that opportunity gets too far along. You can do all of that without leaving this one simple interface. So how easy is it to create your own version of a list like this? I'm going to flip into the Popdock configuration where I'm going to create a new list here called test. We have a powerful query builder that allows you to select any table, so any underlying data out of the database, and then query that. So you can see there's a lot in here. So right now I have just brought in the item ledger, and I want to use this list to pull in any items and figure out what their quantity is by location. So I'm able to do these queries against maybe item. I want to include this field on the item, and on the location, I want to know what the location code is and who created it, whatever it is that you want. And then on the actual item ledger, for the quantity, I'm telling it to aggregate that into a sum. So I'm getting the sum of all quantity per location. And that's a really powerful tool because this is development level effort, because we're trying to interact with tables and do stuff that's very complex. So this is something that previously you would have had to have a developer write all of this custom code for you that you see in here, but Popdock does all of it for you through a nice user interface like this. So we're retrieving all the data, using this nice query builder to do that, and then you decide how you want to present it to the user. So by default, it's just going to put in item, what the field name was, but maybe that doesn't make sense to you. A good example would be dimension codes. By default, it doesn't do them any good to say this is dimension code 1, dimension 2. Maybe dimension 1 is the item department. So I can rename this as department and rename this one as the item class. So now to the end user, it looks exactly as it did in Business Central. Even though I've accessed it, I can rename these to anything that I want. So maybe you don't want state, you want county, because that makes more sense to you. We can really go tweak these names exactly how we want. Then we can say which fields do we want to default. So you saw I added a bunch of fields. By default, I don't want to see all of the detail, and so I can select just the ones that matter to me. Once you've done all of this, then you would be able to go back to your Popdock report and actually pull in all of these fields into your list. So my session timed out, but you would be able to run the report. It looks just like this one, where you're able to see all of that detail. So you're getting this nice user-driven tool. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to have complex understanding. You just know there's data in the system that I want to get, and then I can retrieve that. So far I've been showing you Popdock as an engine external to Business Central, but we've done a lot of work working closely with Business Central to integrate as much of Popdock into the platform as possible. So if we go back into my Business Central, there's a few different places that I want to show you this data. So the first is right here on the Role Center. I can jump into Popdock, and this will bring up a predefined number of lists that you want to access. So by default, I'm having to pull up a list of all posted sales invoices. So I still have all that functionality that I had external to Business Central. I can use right in here. So I can add additional columns. I can see any related detail ledger entries. We can really interact with this data the same way we could when we were external, but now it's completely embedded inside your environment. If I right click, you have what we call drill down functionality. So I could say, I want to open this invoice, and it will open a new tab and take you directly to that particular invoice. So we're empowering the users of the interface to say, I want to go to this customer. I want to filter down, find exactly who it is, and then I want to go there. So this gets equally powerful when we say Kronos US, because now when I were to say open invoice, it would log me into my other company rather than being in the EU company. So you could start to look at some of the ways that this can streamline the processes that your users are going through every day as it is. So back here, I'm going to show you another example on the customer list. So if I were to open up a customer card, we can also put one of those Popdock lists right on your customer card. So from this customer card, I can see all of their invoices in Business Central. But we used to be on Dynamics GP, or used to be on NetSuite, or whatever that other ERP system was, Xero or Intact. And in here, I can see all of my Business Central transactions, but if I scroll down, also gives me all of my historical data from the other ERP. So we're able to view all of that data directly in here. Again, add columns, do filtering. You can even enable exporting here if you want to. And we can do global searches. So if you knew, I want to see how many times they've ordered this particular item, we can get that, do that simply with this interface. So it's about bringing that data right to where you want it. It's your data. You really need it in the system, in the interface that the users wanted. So I want to show one last way that we could put this directly on a record in Business Central. So I'm going to go to one of my sales invoices, and I'm going to have a fact box over here that's querying data from external systems. So we're not using Popdock for reporting on Business Central, but for reporting on other systems that I'm using. So this customer, Giordano's, exists in our CRM. So over here, it's showing that record directly from customer engagement. I can see if they have any contacts, which I don't think this one does. And it even gives me a hyperlink directly to CRM. So as long as I have a license for customer engagement, this will take me right over to that system to see and modify that customer. If you were to use other systems outside of the Dynamics stack, like for instance, a Zendesk support ticketing system or Shopify or whatever it is, you can retrieve additional information. So I can see all of their previous support tickets right in here. I can drill down into the comments on those support tickets or to the invoice lines or the shipment orders. Anything in here that you need to see, we're able to access that without leaving the interface that you're in. So it's very quick and easy for those workers inside of your application to jump out, see other data without ever leaving this interface. So now I'm going to flip it over and say, what about all those people that don't work in Business Central? Because there's other departments that need to see Business Central data. So one of those would be your customer engagement users. Maybe they need to see orders, they need to see shipments, they'll need to see customer payments. There's going to be a lot of detail that these users will also want to see. So if I go to ERP orders, this is actually a list coming out of Business Central. And you'll notice that it has all those same options we've been seeing from the Business Central perspective, but it's pre-filtered down to just on this account. So this account, I now know all of their Business Central orders. If I wanted to see additional information, I could say, show me any lines on this particular order, and it'll pop up down here. So this is about enabling you to share the data. It's not always having to be siloed up so that this person always gets called every time that the sales team needs something. They want to know how many what their sales numbers are. These are reports and lists that they could be running themselves using a tool like Popdock instead of having to wait for someone to configure it for them or give it to them. We can surface this data right where they live, breathe, and work. So that's what I wanted to show you inside of Popdock, just a high-level overview of some of the functionality that's there. But one of the key takeaways that I want you to have is that this isn't just for Business Central. This is a full solution that you can use for your historical data, for your CRM data, your support, marketing, any of your departments, and making all of that data available across teams, across different departments so that everyone is using the same and accurate data.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. A few other key takeaways that we have for you is that Popdock gives you easy access to your data without complex integration. It puts the data you need where you need it and when you need it. You can take action on the data, then present it in a familiar format. So Business Central widgets look like they belong in Business Central. D365 widgets look like they are part of your CRM system. Your sales team doesn't know they're looking at live data from Business Central. Reduces the need for expensive integration projects, and you save on Azure storage fees. And it gives you control of your data and allows you to manage it as you need to manage your business. We want to open it up to questions now. I think, Renee, are there some questions in the chat box?
Yeah, there are. We've got a few, I believe. So is Popdock licensed per user or per organization/tenant?
Per organization, and you would purchase it as a monthly subscription, and it can end at any time. And you can get pricing from Bamboo Cloud.
Oh, sorry, I just cut you off there.
It's okay.
And if you were changing from a legacy system to BC, so in upgrades, for example, would you be able to pull crucial data with Popdock from the legacy system and store it until the data is needed at a later stage?
Yep, you can leave it in the legacy system and never have to move it into Business Central, and then you can use Popdock to access that historical data and pull live current data from Business Central and do a combine list and combine the data into one report from both systems.
And would that be the case even if they were to turn the old system off? So, for example, a lot of clients that will have, and a lot of upgrades that go on, obviously they kind of come off of the old system completely. Would it matter if they kind of shut down that kind of information link, or would it have to kind of stay up and running for the Popdock information to stay on there?
They would have to have at least one user open, one admin user open in that legacy system so that we could gain access to it. Or they could also take that data and move it into a data lake or a data warehouse, and Popdock can retrieve the data from those locations as well.
Okay, that's perfect. And also just one more, I believe. So can Popdock be used to consolidate data from different Business Central environments, such as companies from different legislation requirements? So obviously to pull the data into one place, depending on what legislation requirements they're adhering to.
Yes, that's right. So they could pull the data from multiple Business Central companies basically into one report and be able to aggregate it there.
Okay, that's perfect. So that's all the questions from the chat at the moment. So firstly, I just want to say thank you so much to Linda and Ethan today for presenting for us. And thank you. And
thank you so much for inviting us as well. We really appreciate it.
That's okay, no problem at all. It's been a pleasure to have you. And thank you to everyone that's attended the session today and joined us on this journey. So just a reminder to everyone that the session is recorded. We will be in contact to everyone who has attended today or registered interest in the session, just to get any feedback, get a gauge of how you found it. And if you've enjoyed the session and you're currently an existing client with us, please get in touch with your account manager if you would like some more information. For any new clients here, please use the contact information on screen. And my name's Renee if you need to refer anyone to refer to, sorry. Next, we have a presentation by Tasklet. They're joining us in 2 minutes. So if you're going to be on the next one, I'll see you there. And if not, then I'm sure I'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.